Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, you know, there's just 8 days until Christmas. 1 week from today, we'll be celebrating Christmas Eve. And I hope that you all are having a wonderful day. And I'm excited today to be visiting with Meg. And we were having so much fun before the show started that we almost didn't start the show. We were just going to hang out together. So, we do have Meg with us today. Let me add her back to the stream. Hey, Meg. And
Hello, Santa.
And I have to tell everybody how much I love what you've done with your with your photo there. That's fantastic.
I enjoy the glasses, the flashing glasses.
The flashing glasses are the best. And I see Dominic, who's Meg.
What is a Meg?
He knows who you are. Daryl's here. Yeah. Meg is so flashy. You are
Quite literally.
Quite literally. Yeah. Mike Porter's got. He can't stay. We do have the Mike Porter dad joke of the day at the end, and it is Star Wars themed again. So we have that to look forward to. And
I'm excited.
we've got Oliver. It's a good. You may have already seen it. And I saw Kayla is in the chat. Good to see you. And she should be door dashing. I don't know. Are you door dashing, Kayla? Are you making money, or are you just hanging out in the dorm being a poor college student? I don't know. We're not sure.
Is DoorDash the American version of Uber Eats?
Yes. Well, it may be a competitor. I think Uber Eats exists here as well, but there's yeah. Oh, she's doing her essay, last essay for the term this right now. There you go. So
Gonna write her essay. That's what I say.
And Jedi Mike, you're not alone. You're not the only one who has a mega crush. There are many of us, Jay included, if he stops in. No, look, there's a Hasbro announcement came out today. There is a vintage collection pre-order available at 4 p.m. Eastern. So at the top of the hour, for anybody who's interested, we'll just get rid of some stuff here at the beginning. You can get these Shore Troopers. These are the builder packs that they've come up with. So they're not individually carded or anything like that. You can get Shore Troopers that way. But these are like a squad of Shore Troopers, and at 4 p.m. today, you can order those if you're looking to build Shore Trooper army. So there you go. That's mention that right off the top, and then and that's not something I'm necessarily after, but I do know that we have folks who were interested in what was coming and wanted to let folks know that. The other thing that's happening as we speak, and Meg and we talked about it just a little bit beforehand, is on Twitter, there's a whole trending on Blackout the Eclipse, I think is what they're calling it, where folks who are involved with the social justice side of things, or equality side of things, being a decent human side of things, are saying we're not interested in supporting a game that's being built by a guy who is not supportive of what we care about. And there's more to it than that. Look, I'm grazing over the top of it, right? I'm just kind of hitting the top because I don't really. Well, first of all, I'm not a gamer. And secondly, I don't like to get into political feuds. Either the game's going to be good or the game's not going to be good. And to whatever degree that is, that's what I'll talk about when it comes out. But we can't ignore that this is happening in the community as we speak.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And it's, I know you play the games more, and we'll just see what happens. It's not a pressing issue at the moment. This game is 2 to 4 years away, right?
It is, at least.
Yeah. At least, right. Hey, good to see you, Will. Will, morning, afternoon, tenderloin, afternoon. So there you go. Good to see you, Will. And so I just wanted to kind of take care of that stuff off the top. Acknowledge that this is happening, It's something people are talking about, and if it's something you care about, then great, do that. It's just not something that I am engaged with.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're going to, I guess, boycott the game, then by all means, obviously the guy is kind of a POS for what he said. But
Yep.
if you are going to play the game, and please go for it. I'm probably going to play the game, even though I disagree vehemently with what he said, but only on a principle of it looks really epic. And
Yeah.
some people might say I'm exacerbating the problem by doing that. Some people might say it doesn't make a difference. I believe in your free choice to do whatever you want. If you want to get the game, get the game. If not, whatever. The world will keep ticking along.
I agreed. Agreed. And Dominic, and I'll ask you, Meg, too. Are you going to go see Spider-Man?
Yes, I haven't seen it though. I've been staying away
I,
from Den of Nerds and all of those channels who talked about it.
me too. Me
Not
too.
because I don't like Josh, it's just I'm trying to stay away from spoilers.
You heard it here. Meg is boycotting Josh. No, I'm completely joking. She's not.
No,
No, neither am
I
I.
love everyone
Almost.
except for the fandom menace. Almost.
Yeah, and until we have our little fight here in a minute, we're brewing up. We've been preparing all week for this fight. It's going to be
Ironically,
fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I will go see it, but it's tough for me to go see movies at the theater at this stage of the year. Right? There's a couple of weeks of the year that's really tough for Santa Claus to show up in a movie theater, and this would be one of those weeks. So,
I can
and the
imagine.
reason I say it that way is because I made a Santa Claus appearance before this show. I'm making another Santa Claus. I'll be doing virtual visits from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. So,
So you're kind of like a badass Santa. It's like, what do you do between being Santa? Oh, I just talk about Star Wars news on my YouTube Star Wars channel, and then you're Santa again. Bada bing, bada boom.
yeah, write a little database code here and there. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Funny enough,
Uh,
Man on the Moon, who
yeah, yeah.
says, "Oh, Man on the Moon." Sorry,
Right. There you
that
go.
was a blonde
Not
moment.
Manon. Like,
No. Yeah. Well, he says Vader's Luke's father. Spoiler alert. Someone moaned at me for spoiling a very early Clone Wars episode once, and I thought
oh
that was
boy.
quite funny. It's like you're kind of a
Yeah.
few years late.
What? Hey, Hawks Holocron, they've got a call with me tomorrow. I'm super excited at noon Eastern. That's fantastic. Oh, I know that I have an 8 a.m. I'm on the clock at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I'm on till 10 o'clock tonight, and then again 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Super excited when we get to visit with folks we know. And I know that Kieran has been advertising to his company that he works for over there in Ireland. And I had a most adorable English kids the other day, family, and they were super, super cute. And for me, it's so much fun to get to listen to the accents. It's fantastic.
Oi, Santa, you got a license for that hat?
It was just like that, Meg. It was so good. I couldn't get over it. And of course we get kids that are from the southern United States who are always yes sir, yes sir. I'm like, would you like me to would you please leave out a cookie for Santa and maybe some carrots for the reindeer? And they're like, yes sir. I'm like, well, that's very nice. I'm just not used to that kind of Oh, you guys are having fun in the chat. I appreciate it. Kayla's distracted from her essay writing. But as a senior in college, you get better at writing the essays. As you know, Meg, you've gone
Yes,
through that experience. But
I have.
as a freshman, it's not as easy. But by the time you're a senior, you've written so many, you can pretty much do a 500-word essay, knock that right out.
It's funny,
No problem.
Americans use words like freshman and sophomore and all of that. We just say first year, second year, third year.
Oh,
Misery.
So, okay. So help me out in what we would call high school, right? So you're in ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, 12th, right?
Yeah, we say year 9, year 10, year 11, and year 12, which is sixth
Okay.
form,
So
as we
then what
call it.
happens when you go to college? Do you start over
Sorry,
at one?
year 12 and 13 is sixth form, and then when you go to university, it's year 1, year 2,
Okay.
year 3, and if you're doing an integrated master's, you do an you do an additional year, but if not, then
Interesting.
you just reapply to do a master's degree. But the thing is, in England, you kind of know what you're going to study right from the outset, so you can start in like anthropology and that's your whole degree. Whereas I believe in America, you can choose your major later on.
Normally you pick it early and then well, it depends what university you're going to, but like when I went to Ohio State University, uh, you declared your major. Well, when my oldest, I'm old. When my oldest went to Ohio State, you get entered into the college that you are studying. So she was like in the College of Psychiatry, right? So she was a
Okay.
psych major. And then when she changed, switched colleges, and you have to be accepted into that college within the university. So,
Oh, it's kind of like traditional. I think some universities here have that to an extent,
yeah.
but
And
in kind of
so
a different way.
Ohio State had that, and then Kayla went to be a music major. She was accepted into the College of Music and Arts up there, and then she switched from there to her current resort and attraction management. So a different program, and again, you kind of apply, but you're already a student. So it's a little, you're kind of already inside, but at the same time, there is this kind of thing. Yeah,
Someone asked me
Daryl,
to say garage,
say
garage,
it in improper
garage.
English.
Oh, a
Oh my
garage.
goodness. So there's been a lot of Star Wars news here in the last couple of days. And a big part of it, and I suppose we'll just kind of hit this as it goes, um, came from this Hollywood Reporter article, which is a fantastic article, by the way. If you guys haven't read this, it's on our Discord. You can find it in Meg's Discord or mine. And these are this it's a lengthy article, but there's a lot of good information in here. Just
There is
fantastic.
a lot to unpack. A
Yeah.
lot of great stuff.
Um,
More reveals
uh,
than I
uh,
think any of us knew.
yeah, well, and one of the headlines out of this article is that all of the trailer footage we've seen, all of the teasers, all of that, any footage you've seen comes from the first half of the first episode.
Because I bet the minute it goes into the second portion, we're probably hit with big characters and big plot points and maybe a hut or two from the survivors,
Oh,
the surviving huts.
it
Rotter.
very well could be. Yeah, we could have Rada. Absolutely.
I'm
That'd be
pretty
fantastic.
I'm pretty convinced we'll probably see a hut. That's not like a leak or anything, just as Paul McCartney would say, I've got a feeling. Your favourite band, Santa.
Look, I love them, except for the one guy.
John Lennon.
Right. So he goes. I'm not going down that rabbit hole again. We did this the other day. I'm leaving it. I'm like,
That's what she said.
so so he goes into this, and yeah, there's a lot in here. The other thing that I thought was interesting is he mentions that folks didn't, even at Disney, didn't know that the Book of Boba Fett was a thing until that a little teaser came out at the end of Mando season 2. That they were able to keep that kind of secretive. Really cool stuff. And I agree with you. I think, well, first of all, it's super exciting. If there's so much information in the second half of that first episode, it means we're going to hit the ground like at full speed. And it's going to be a sprint from there, from what I gather. The all killer, no filler kind of thing would seem to imply that and with this information that we're going to be at full phrase like right away, right? Like,
And it makes me feel better about just having 7 episodes because they're really going to pack them in with stuff. I don't think there's going to be any faffing around. It'll be like, right from the outset. And as he said, in every episode, there's a surprise. And
yeah,
we're dealing with the book of Boba Fett. If we have all of these rumored characters, like Bossk and Cad Bane and so forth, they're going to have to pretty much have one per episode.
well, yeah. If all of the rumors, and so if you guys haven't been keeping up, we do have a Cameo bingo sheet. But so hit us up on Discord, and I'll send you a bingo sheet you can fill out, and you can put in who you think will be cameos. Well, there's 25 spots on there. We filled one in for you. We've given you Fennec Shan. She's not a cameo. She's going to be there. But at the same time, you've got 24 people you can pick from. In 7 episodes, 24 would be a lot. But we might get more than half of that. I think there's going to be several episodes where we may get 2 or 3. As you mentioned, Bossk. You could get Bossk and Dengar in the same one, right?
And bear in mind what Grief Karga said about the Bounty Hunters Guild. It's still a thing. So you could literally get 5 in one go.
You absolutely could.
You get Bossk, Dengar, IG-88, Zuckuss, Forlom, all in one lineup, kind of like an empire.
Right. And just to clarify, you think it'll be a flashback Empire scene, or do you think they'll be like true cameos where they are making an appearance in the episode itself?
I think maybe both, but the Empire flashback is almost guaranteed. Tamara Morrison said that to Collider in July. I've got the article here where he talks about we're going to see where Boba's been since Empire Strikes Back. So it's not going to pick up just from, the Sarlacc pit. It's going back to when he worked under Darth Vader, which was also a rumor, wasn't it, that we're going to see Vader?
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, and Ducky, they hid Boba as a secret from Lucasfilm. Yes, they did. I think that, well, from Lucasfilm, let's clarify it a little bit. I think Kathy Kennedy knew, and I think, Dave Filoni knew, and I think there were people at Lucasfilm who knew, but folks at Disney, the Igers and Chapeks of the world, did not know. The folks at Disney did not know that Boba was going to be a thing until right then.
And they probably started drafting it pretty early. Probably when Robert Rodriguez was given the green light to direct an episode. He was probably, planning, okay, so Boba's back, how am I going to continue that story? But maybe also had ideas for, well, if this turns into something else, then that'd be, how they could lead into the Book of Boba Fett. And what's great is that he's clearly thought of a backstory to how he escaped the Sarlacc pit and kind of connect it to the original trilogy. But what I've been saying is I want them to connect it all the way back to the prequel trilogy with Jango and Boba Fett's trauma. Has he moved on from Mace Windu? And all of that sort of thing.
Which
and
leads
also
us
Fennec
right
Shand
into
looks a lot like the shapeshifter.
every time you get the word color mentioned in an article, look for Meg to drop a Mace Windu hint. Like, but and so that comes up in here too, where Rodriguez is saying they were flirting around with different colors, and there were certain colors that were established. So you start to think of like lightsabers, of course, and you mentioned that in your video today, right? We know there's green and blue and purple because Mace Windu wanted one, and Samuel L. Jackson, and then red, of course, and everybody's favorite yellow, right? Those are established. But so when they start talking about established colors, you start to think about, okay, there's established colors for lightsabers, and there's one in particular that could be making an appearance. And I agree with you. We're on the same boat that Mace Windu's not dead.
Oh, he's
I, I
alive.
just I just don't believe it, right? The evidence is more supporting that he's not than that he is.
There's way too much evidence. And, here's the big thing. Forget about, plot points for a minute and just think about Dave Filoni, who always wants to do justice to George Lucas's vision. And when Samuel L. Jackson spoke to George on the set of Revenge of the Sith, he was like, "Am I dead? Can you confirm I'm not dead?" And George was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." That's enough for Dave Filoni to be like, well, okay, so, what George says, even if it's just a passing thought without much thinking behind it, assuming he'd never want to bring back the character himself, that is now gospel, that is now canon. So I would say if Dave Filoni cares enough about that aspect of Boba's life, bring him back. And here's the problem: if you don't bring him back, you miss out an enormous part of Boba's past, of what defined Boba as an orphan who was taken in by other bounty hunters and started Crate's Claw and all of this stuff. But at the very least, I want him acknowledged, even just a name drop, even just saying to Fennec, "A Jedi killed my father." But I hope they do more than just allude to it. I want to see, even if it's a flashback, Mace Windu again in the series. And if it
Will
doesn't happen,
Morgan,
I'm honestly going to be quite disappointed, even though I
well,
don't
I
expect
agree
it.
with you. Yeah, I agree with you. And Will brings up a point about the white lightsabers too. I left that out, but the white armor, which I still think that we're going to see Omega get that white prototype armor, but I don't think we're going to see her in the Book of Boba Fett. At least not season one.
I
And
completely agree.
and I love this just to tweak you just a little bit, because Mace lives. He's got to have that lightsaber replaced, right? He lost it when he got his arm chopped off, so he needs a new lightsaber. So
I don't think he would get another lightsaber. I want him to go Tusken
Ducky
or
started it,
something
right?
similar.
He builds a yellow one to replace it. That's great. Or he goes to the temple to save Grogu, and he picks up one of the temple guards, and it's a yellow one. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, at this point, I'll take anything that has Mace Windu coming back.
Look,
He could do a song and dance and sing Jingle Bells, and I'll be happy. Or Jingle Bells,
I
Mother.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to see him, and I think so. Which leads us to another kind of a thing that hit really big the other day is Luke Skywalker being in the Book of Boba Fett. Now, there's two rumors that have been around for quite some time. One being Luke Skywalker being in the Book of Boba Fett, the other being Grogu. These are not new, but they got new legs this week, right? Both of those hit with a lot of stories this week because we got confirmation. Well, we had another proof, if you will, of Grogu showing up through all of that merch that was purchased for the
Yeah.
production staff, right? Why would they get a bunch of Grogu merch if he wasn't involved? And so that brought that back up. And then the second one that came up, and it came from Giant Freaking Robot. You reported on it really, really well, saying, "Hey, take it with a grain of salt. It's coming from a source that doesn't have a strong track record. They're not at the same level as, say, other notorious sources that just make stuff up, right? They're not that, but they also will publish speculation as rumor, and people can't then differentiate speculation from a leak. And it's something that you and I both have been really careful about and being clear about. And you did a great job this week of saying, look, this isn't substantiated, but we could have Han Solo is what I meant to say. Han Solo. We could have Han Solo show up as with Harrison Ford. And again, Han Solo's been kind of speculated, rumored for a long time. But the issue that we had with, and months ago when we were starting to talk about Han Solo, is that Harrison Ford was involved in shooting Indiana Jones 5 when they were shooting the Book of Boba Fett, when you would think that they would need him. Now, that being said, he was over in your neck of the woods, as we like to say. And it wouldn't have been too hard for him to make a stop in to, London and spend a couple hours to do some base work that then they would build the likeness off of, right?
Yeah.
I'm
in two minds about this because they didn't say which project it was for. And with Adam Driver ramping up, the teasers for the return of his character, Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, and with all of these reports of a potential continuation of the sequels, maybe they mean Harrison Ford returning in flashbacks to, pre-Force Awakens. And maybe it's got nothing to do with the Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian. But if they're saying that he has done some work, then it could be. But at the same time, Alden Ehrenreich has not been very busy at all since 2018, and that might be a kick in the nips if they don't allow him to play the character. Sorry, nipples.
No,
I think
it was better the first time.
Yeah.
Better the first time. Look, I agree, and I thought Josh Den of Nerds did a good job the other day of kind of discussing it as well. I watched his live stream when he was covering it, and Ducky's been here for 6 months. Oh, and this says he's become a member, but that's not the case. He's been here for 6 months, and there you go.
He's been here a long time, and it's been quite a quack.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just think that it's more likely that Alden would be playing Han Solo at that age. Although, I mean, Harrison is playing Han Solo in The Force Awakens. This is set. I don't know. They did it with Luke Skywalker, of course, and de-aging Mark Hamill. So they could absolutely de-age Harrison Ford. But to me, it just seems so much easier to bring in Alden, shoot whatever scenes you need to shoot, and
no one's talking about Chewie.
Well, that's true, and don't forget that MakingStarWars.net reported Black Kurstan actually seeing Chrysanthemum. Yeah, I can never say that word. Seeing that in the works, so he's seen it with his own eyes. So I think it's likely we could see him at least.
Yes, but I think there might be a continuity issue with that. Am I right in saying that after the fall of the Empire, Chewie returned to Kashyyyk to be with his family?
Well, they did have that dinner for Life Day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having fun.
I know. Besides, that was, what, just after A New Hope?
Yeah.
And it's not even canon. But I think I've always wanted to see Lumpy grown up. Chewie's son.
There you go. Get Lumpy in there. Sure.
The plot might be a bit lumpy.
I don't know. I think is Black Kurstan, is he what part of him is still canon? Chrysanthemum or whatever.
That is a question for Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It'll be at the bottom of the page.
Let's see.
I read somewhere, don't remember where I read it. It was in a book, but Chewie did spend some time after the fall of the Empire on Kashyyyk. I could be very mistaken, or it might be legends, or...
Holy moly, Ducky. My goodness, my friend. That is absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for that level of support. Ducky is a fantastic member of the channel. Always commenting in Discord, always here for our live streams. Always just a fantastic guy. And his family was able to visit with me as Santa. We had a great time watching his kids kind of go into shock mode when they were talking to me. It was amazing, but my goodness, Ducky, that is quite the generous gift. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And Karma Sin, keep up the good work. Thank you for the support, the encouragement. That is very, very kind. You guys are fantastic. Yeah, Meg, you just checked.
I did. I was right. During the New Republic era, he was back home. So we could see Han Solo and Leia. We could even see a 5-year-old Ben Solo.
Well,
and I'll get everyone triggered.
So let's see. Oh, it says nicknamed by Dr. Aphra. So he is in the Dr. Aphra stories, Black Coruscantan. He worked for Jabba the Hutt. Was hired by Vader. When does he, or is he dead? Is he dead or is he not dead? I don't.
So Chewie stays on Kashyyyk pretty briefly, I believe. He tries to settle back into his peaceful domestic life on his home world, but keeps in touch with Han Solo, and then probably nearer the time of... I'm still flashing everyone, apparently.
Well, those glasses, they keep flashing and flashing. Yeah. So that was what else Josh was kind of getting to, and what I wanted to talk to you a bit about as well. Look, if in my mind, because we don't have Carrie with us anymore, there's no way to bring her into the story. At the time in the story arc, Han and Leia are still together. And as you mentioned, we've got a very young Ben.
But they did use her daughter, who plays Lieutenant Konex. She was in. They used her to CGI an older Leia for the Rise of Skywalker.
They did.
So
And
I can't see why they wouldn't do that.
There's also a very good deepfake kind of thing done with Millie Bobby Brown. And Millie Bobby Brown looks fantastic as a young Leia, with a little bit like she would fit the role quite well against Alden, I believe.
She looks like Padme.
Yeah, Millie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did a deepfake of her as Leia, and she looks just like Carrie. Of course,
So
it's
just
a
like
deepfake,
her fictional mother.
You're talking about Carrie's actual daughter, who was in Force Awakens and Last Jedi.
Yeah, I'm saying she did a CGI as her mother.
Yeah, she did
But Millie Bobby Brown looks like Padme in real
You
life.
think so? Oh, in real
I
life,
literally typed it in. I was like, wow, Natalie Portman looks a bit different, but no.
I think Millie Bobby Brown could act opposite of Alden, or I mean, you could get, and I forget her name right now. What's her daughter's name? Carrie's daughter.
That's why I called her Lieutenant Konex. I forget her actual name all the time.
It'll come to it. Well, somebody put it in the chat. That'll be faster. But where Josh was kind of speculating, and I think he's onto something, is some sort of readaptation Billy Lord, that's it. Thanks, Roland. Billy Lord could act opposite of Alden as Leia, or Millie Bobby Brown, or it doesn't have to be either one of them even, but the potential to bring in some sort of adaptation of Heir to the Empire, and we already saw Mount Tantus. Carefully said.
I love the
Mount
look you give me when you say it.
Every single time. We, yeah, and I always stop to make sure I say it and enunciate it correctly. We've seen Mount Tantus. We know that Thrawn is milling about. We know that some of the groundwork to have an Heir to the Empire adaptation exists. So if that's the case, then Luke and Leia are sort of central to that story.
What kind of death sticks are these people on saying Millie Bobby Brown looks like Omega or should be Omega? Absolutely
No.
not, please.
I think it should be that other actress. If we bring her into live action,
The only actress who looks like she could play Omega is the one who already played the Queen of Naboo at Padme's funeral. She would be an excellent Omega.
no, I'm thinking of I think an Irish, or maybe she's even, maybe she's even New Zealand. I'm not sure. There's an actress. She's got a name I can't recall right now, but I started paying attention to her maybe a year ago. That would play a really, really good Omega. I'll have to search it out later. But if we're going to do some sort of adaptation of Heir to the Empire, and I think they're setting up the groundwork to do that, then Luke and Leia are a big part of that story.
Indeed.
I don't think it would be Harrison Ford acting out that story, though, is my point. Even if you got him to do a cameo, much like Mark Hamill did at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, you're not going to get him to sign on for a whole season of a show. I mean, that's just not Harrison Ford, is it?
They should just let the man retire.
Yeah.
He's 79. Just leave him alone. He keeps breaking his leg and hurting himself on Indy.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and in airplanes and all. You remember that story where he crashed his airplane into a golf course?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
So,
Didn't Caitlyn Jenner do something like that?
Oh, I don't know if she did, but I know he did. Crashed it. But did you finish reading the new Thrawn novel? Have you read that?
No.
Okay. Well, let me say that it sets up the way that it ends. And look, it's been a month since it's been released. I'm not going to give away, the story itself, but the way that book ends sets it up to pick up where Heir to the Empire starts.
Okay.
So, I mean, that gives away a good bit, but we already knew Thrawn was going to survive. A, because he shows up in Rebels, and B, because he's going to be in the Ahsoka series, presumably. So, we will do a spoiler stream, Ducky. I've got some folks on board to do that with me soon, but I wanted to just kind of set that the book sets up for Heir to continue. I think we saw it set up in Bad Batch. We saw it set there's so many pieces of Heir to the Empire kind of set up that they could absolutely do an adaptation of it. There's some big problems they have to overcome. They have to set up some other characters. They've got to deal with characters that weren't there when the original book was written. So it would definitely be an adaptation. It's not going to be a retelling of the original Heir to the Empire story. But many of the parts that are there would be there. And if Han and Leia are as pivotal in the retelling as they were in the original, then we need a Han Solo. And if you need a Han Solo, you're not going to get Harrison Ford to do that. You could get an Alden Ehrenreich to do that.
You can get a Solo second Han. Second Han?
Yes.
Second Han?
Second.
Anyone? No? Okay.
Yeah, well, remember that when we get to the Mike Porter dad joke at the end. I'm just saying. Remember
I
that.
will do. I will embrace it. It will be magnificent.
It will be magnificent for sure.
The most excellent joke. It will crack me up.
Certainly is.
Meg, that was cringy and beautiful in one line. That's my entire life summed up right there. It's a little bit cringy, but you've got to love it.
Well, I think that's the descriptive of Meg. She's beautiful and cringy at the same time. I've never seen
More
you in real
cringy than
life,
the other one, but yeah. If Santa ever sees me in real life, I might not tell him it's me for a while. I might just like walk around the perimeter, seeing what he's like, unsuspecting.
Well, it's hard for me to hide. Like anywhere I go, it's like, oh, well, first of all, I've done a face reveal. Second of all, there's not a lot of guys walking around, you know. Well, I put it under a spoiler tag, but you guys looked anyway.
True. See, I don't have the privilege of hiding my face under a heap of wool.
Oh my goodness! I want to say I thought Josh did a really good job of covering the topic earlier this week on the Den of Nerds, and I think that it is very unlikely that Harrison Ford reprises the role, and I think it's very likely that they will do an Heir adaptation. So we will see how that goes. We'll see how it goes. No, Kayla, you have seen the real face under the beard. And you didn't like it either. You called me names.
She got to see it in real life. In the words of Obi-Wan, I'm so sorry.
She called me names.
Santa was beardless, wasn't he? I'm so sorry.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Santa, the beard is my brother. I will not shave it.
This is what she's said for years.
I think my description was way ruder.
It was,
but we're trying
rude,
to monetize this stream.
Look,
for Santa's
she's my
sake.
daughter, so come on now, give me a little bit of a break. So I wanted to bring up this other part here in the story, and because Jason
We're
Ward,
still on the first article.
I know. What time is it? Oh my goodness. I quit watching the time. So he said that they had some room to kind of write the show, and that they took the inspiration from King Conan and The Godfather. Now, this is, I think, significant because some people, I don't think, are paying real close attention to this not being a continuation of The Mandalorian in that same style. In this case, it would be different, right? This is not Mandalorian 2.5 exactly. It does pick up directly from Mandalorian season 2, but we have a King Conan Godfather type story being told, where Boba Fett is stepping in as King Conan. Yeah, well, King Conan. And this is where Jason Ward has been saying this for some time. He's been saying that he had this kind of King Conan kind of vibe. And we saw where, in an earlier interview, I think it was Rodriguez, said that he was going to go full barbarian mode. Is that, do you remember that?
I remember that one. Full barbarian.
Yeah.
Which we do see in the trailers. By the way, there was one that dropped sort of half an hour ago, and there is a little bit of new footage. You see Fennec twatting a Gamorrean in the face. Punching.
Okay, thank you. She did what? To a Gamorrean? What?
Twatted.
What?
TWATTED. It's like twat. I don't know if you have that word.
Nope, I don't. And it sounds too dirty for me to say.
It means vagina. But we use it as like a term of physical assault.
Novak, thank you for the super chat, my friend.
There's a distraction, Novak.
And I feel like Hawks. I'm like, what is Meg doing to me? Oh my goodness. Right. This is what I was hearing. Let's get back to King Conan, right?
King Cobra.
King Conan, barbarian mode, and dealing with being put in a different kind of role than he's had before. And I hear a lot of speculation about him being a bad guy, about him being, a ruthless mercenary, that kind of thing. Well, what Conan went through is King Conan, and I'm reaching out to a friend of mine. Many of you may know him from the Den of Nerds, Captain Pennsylvania, a good friend, and it goes back for a couple of years that I've known him. He is a huge Conan fan, a huge Conan fan. Will just picked up the first issue of King Conan. He had no idea. So I want to see if I can connect with Captain Pennsylvania. He's popped into our chat a couple times. He knows all things Conan related. He would be a great reference to give us a bit of a insight into who King Conan was, the struggles he went through, and why this is such a pertinent clue for what we're going to see in the Book of Boba Fett. Wanted to say something else. He said there it is. It's in this right here. Let me bring this back up. Boba bites off more than he can chew, and we do not make it easy for him. Look, he's stepping up into a different role. He's moving on from being the guy that we know. And let me ask you another question. First of all, thank you, Roland. Thank you so much. Do you think we'll get even darker Star Wars under Disney, or was Mando the grittiest? Now, I think it's going to go darker. What do you think?
I think it's going to go darker.
Yeah.
Although I hope it's not all
so.
just that. I hope there's a good story as well as just beating up Gamorreans for no reason.
Going around smacking a Gamorrean around just because you can. I think Book of Boba Fett's going to be a little grittier than Mandalorian, and I'm really anxious to see. Roland said, "I'd love to see more Revenge of the Sith level stuff." I think you're going to get it, Roland. I think you're going to get it.
What does he mean by that, though? Because that's the Kenobi series,
right? That's why I think he's going to get it not only in Kenobi, but perhaps even in Andor.
Andor for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and Acolyte, Ducky brings up a good point there too, right? So I think Acolyte could be extremely dark. So the King Conan thing has me interested, and I wanted to ask you, when you think of Boba Fett, do you think of him being a cutthroat bad guy, or do you think of him being more like a anti-hero? Or what kind of image?
Yeah. I grew up with the prequels. Attack of the Clones was the first movie I saw in cinema. So I've known Boba Fett like that, like as Daniel Logan, as well as the original trilogy, as opposed to have just seen him in Empire and then Jedi and then the prequels. So that tainted my view of him because I was always thinking under the helmet, he's still that kid. So I see a more human side to Boba. I see his clone past, his pain and anguish. I see him as a human being who also has that cutthroat side. But I've always viewed him as someone who only resorts to that if needs be. So he's not like a full-on villain. But he's, I guess, an anti-hero. Because you do want to see him as a bad guy, for sure. But at the same time, he's more than just generic bounty hunter as the original trilogy kind of portrayed him as. And that's what
Well,
I want to see in this series. I want to see that explored.
I'll build right on that, Meg, because what you said there is really good. Kieran, thank you so much for the gift. Happy Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you too. I really appreciate all your support as well, my friend. And keep up your YouTube channel. Keep giving us content there. And as Meg and I and many other YouTubers have experienced, the more you do it, the better you get. And I love to see this community grow and more people getting involved. So thank you so much for that. That's very generous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and
Man on the Moon.
as Man on the Moon says, Clone Wars fleshed him out too. You know, the arrest after he tried to go after Mace Windu. I really love that.
I agree with that too, and that's what I was going to go. Like the episode that Sheev and I have our bet based on, and Sheev, good to see you here, my friend. We saw Boba Fett is really the good guy there, and Cad Bane is the bad guy. Boba Fett's like, hey, let your hostages go, and they have the duel because he and Cad Bane don't see eye to eye. Boba Fett is not just a ruthless bad guy. And I keep hearing different people come out and saying, hey, I just want ruthless bad guy Boba Fett. I want him out there just taking people out because he's that bad. And I'm like, but that's not the I've never been a huge Boba Fett fan. Right? He's a chump that got taken out by a blind dude and chucked into a sarlacc. But, hey, to each their own. Mando season 2 kind of redeemed him for me, and then as I get to know him more, and I go back into the Clone Wars, and Man on the Moon's point here is exactly right. He's more fleshed out, and he's more complex. He's not just a ruthless killer. I see him more as the anti-hero, if anything, right?
I agree.
Levi, good to see you. Levi is out in my time zone for one of the few times ever. And I did a spot as Santa for him the other day. We put on the hat. We did the whole bit. It was great. Thank you for being here, Levi. You're getting yourself a builder pack of shore troopers. I know he was interested in this Hasbro announcement. So yeah, I think that Boba is not just a big bad. I don't want to see him just ruthless killer, as some people say. I want to see him as King Conan, and I want to learn more about King Conan. I want some insight, because if that's where they took in The Godfather. Look, I'm familiar with The Godfather, right?
I think we're confused. A few scenes here and there. I used to walk in on my dad watching it a few times.
The Godfather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not Godfather Meg or King Cobra Meg. I'm Star Wars Meg, so.
That's right. So that's why I've invited Captain Pennsylvania.
I keep saying King Cobra. King Conan.
Different.
The only Conan I know is the ginger guy.
Ginger guy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Daddy Meg, I love that.
What am I going to do? This is my daughter you're influencing. I'll just have you know.
She said it, not me. I guess I just have that effect on people.
It's great. We should get on. Like we built up this we built up this argument that you and I are going to have. On,
yes.
Mandalorian season 3, and we haven't even gotten through. Look,
could I summarize it to people?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I was saying that there's very good potential for Din Djarin to be the rightful ruler of Mandalore, and Santa, on the other hand, is wrong.
Look, so let's give this just a little bit of backstory. There's some news you shared earlier in the week about the Mandalorian season 3 having a little bit of plot reveal, right? Do you want to give us a TLDR on that real quick?
So the working title for season 3 is Foundry. they've moved away from Huckleberry, which was the working title for both seasons 1 and 2, and then Buccaneer was for the Book of Boba Fett. But now they're using Foundry, which obviously teases the Mandalorian Foundry with the armorer and really going back to what the show started out as. And then
Yeah.
that kind of led to a discussion of what's going to happen when Din sees the armor again. Is she going to scorn him for taking off his helmet? How is she going to react to the Darksaber? And is
Yeah, and
he
then-
the rightful ruler of Mandalore?
Yeah, and you wrongly said in your video that he was the rightful ruler, and I had to take issue with you in your comments.
But the show is called The Mandalorian. I don't know why that's such a stretch.
Oh, well, I actually watched the show. That's why.
Okay, on a serious note, could you explain why you think I'm wrong? Okay, here's
Oh,
my
my
take.
goodness.
Din
Yeah.
is a reluctant ruler. He doesn't know it yet, but he has the potential to be an awesome ruler of Mandalore. And I think that's what it will eventually set up.
I
And
think that
I do agree with you to an extent that if Sabine Wren comes back into the picture, she might once again have the Darksaber and this time not need Bo-Katan's help.
I think Din would have to be coerced and a bit convinced to step into that role. At this point, I don't think he has any interest in it. He's stated so quite vehemently. He's like, "Look, I don't want this thing. Here, you can have it." And Bo's like, "No, I can't just take it. I have to win it in battle." He's like, "Fine, let's have a fight. I yield. Now you can have it. You won." And she's like, "No, that doesn't count." And so all of the speculation that all of a sudden now Din is going to be willing to have an actual like try to kill you kind of fight with Bo-Katan, or that Bo is going to somehow be an adversary to Din because she's just going to want to fight him. Well, he's already willing to relinquish. So let's just say that she does want to fight him to get the Darksaber.
She does, and she will.
He'll just give it to her. Why would he fight
Well, there
her?
you go.
So
I mean, okay.
like
here's
he already
the problem.
tried.
Here's the problem. The show is called The Mandalorian, and I feel like they are going to set it up so that Din does eventually rule Mandalore. Now, here's where we got into pedantics, is when you said he's not the rightful ruler, and you put quotes around the word rightful, and I think that's
Right.
correct. But the way of Mandalore, or the way, if you believe in the title of Mandalore, is that even if you subjectively disagree with the method, like if, obviously part of Death Watch didn't like the fact that Maul was the Mandalore, you still have to accept the fact that that person is, whether they like it or not, whether you like the way they got it or not, they are the ruler, or holds the position of the Mandalore. And that's the only perspective I'm coming at it with.
Well, I want to kind of double down on what I said. The Darksaber does not bequeath rulership, right? There's where we have a difference in Mandalorian philosophy. So, and that's why I kind of in Discord said, well, you're friends with the armorer, so of course you would think that, because there are those who have the Zabrak horns as following Maul as the rightful ruler of Mandalore, who followed him.
Which is why she won't like Bo-Katan, because the armorer would see her as a traitor.
Yeah, right. So there are Mandalorians who see that it does grant rulership. Whomever won it in battle is the rightful ruler. However, that's not a universal accepted position. Then, and as Roland put, the Mask of Mandalore, right, is important in that discussion.
That
There
wasn't
are other
Josh's
things.
theory. I'm pretty sure I said it first. I've had that theory literally since the show came out.
So we've got the Mask of Mandalore, Meg's theory, that but now you are conflicted with yourself. Is it the mask that gives rightful rulership, or is it
No,
the
what
Darksaber
I
that gives
said is
rightful?
that the mask would take precedence. So Din Djarin doesn't want to be the ruler, but to distract Bo-Katan, who is so desperate for it, another pressing issue could come up. That way, Favreau and Filoni don't have to write themselves into a corner by making Bo-Katan fight Din if there's a bigger relic, like the Mask of Mandalore. That's all I'm saying. But going back to the Darksaber itself, I think you're absolutely right when you say its interpretation of philosophy, because this idea of the way, forgive me if I'm wrong here, is a very new concept in canon.
Yes. Yes.
Like, we
Yeah.
didn't have that in Rebels. There was no children of the way, the tribe, sorry. And so
Right.
that interpretation could be so different. There could be more information that the armorer holds that we find out about in season 3. There could be a way that a fight doesn't need to happen. Oh no, sorry,
True.
that's not right, because sorry, I think I cocked up there. There could be a way to settle this according to the way, but then you've got the problem of, well, Bo-Katan sees them as extremists.
Yeah. Well, and she did, and that was a really good episode, by the way, where she starts off kind of mocking Din, saying, this is the way, right? Like, but at the end, when she says it, it's more complimentary, right? Honorific, saying this is the way, because she was seeing them as a radicalized subgroup of folks, versus at the end. And there's a couple of good questions. So Daryl says, "Has anyone had a theory about the armor as Sabine?" I
But
don't
they
think
just
so.
cast Sabine.
Right, and Rook Cast is the one that I've heard Meg say forever, like since I
Yeah,
started watching
I'm
it.
on the Rook cast or someone we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Isn't there an episode
It,
in Clone Wars season 5 where there's someone standing next to Bo, one of the Death Watch, who sounds exactly like Emily Swallow as the armorer?
oh, yeah. I can't remember. Or do they even have a name? Do we know?
No, there is no name.
Okay, okay. And I don't want to go. I saw your question, Anthony. I just don't want to go back to Boba Fett. We're trying to get this, and then there's an Ahsoka bit to talk about, and we've already gone long. So I apologize that Anthony wasn't able to get your question when it was out there, but I want to acknowledge that I saw it, and come hit us up on Discord. We can have the discussion there as well. Yeah, so I think Rook Cast makes the most sense to me. You've convinced me, and when it comes to Din being the rightful ruler, I think that I'm of the opinion that the Darksaber gives someone a claim to rule, but doesn't give them the rightful rulership. So should Din decide that he would like to be the ruler of Mandalore, he could say, "Look, I won this honorably in battle, and I observe the traditions and culture of Mandalore as a what they call him, a foundling, and I am willing to lead you," because he has that connection both from the people of the way, and now he's kind of stepped away from that. We saw that in the conclusion of Mando 2 when he just took the helmet off. Like that, to me, that was him abandoning the way and saying, "Okay, I'm going to be part of this other movement, part of Bo-Katan's
I
kind
don't
of
see it that way.
philosophy."
I see it as him kind of easing up and realizing you can incorporate some of those, let's say, more liberal, open views of how to be a Mandalorian while also sticking to it. I don't see him abandoning the way just yet. I think the clear distinction, the clear disagreement we have is in the word rightful,
Mm-hmm.
because you can be the rightful heir to a throne and still be reluctant. And that's kind of how I see the Darksaber. Just how the tribe has all these rules, if they want to follow them or not. If they are still to be part of the tribe and still consider themselves Mandalorians, they still have to follow those things. And for all we know, the Armorer insists that Din rules Mandalore.
Good point. I mean, we know that that would be her philosophy, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I feel comfortable in saying that the armorer, because she wears the Zabrak horns on her helmet, and she would put a lot of credence and weight on who rightfully wields the Darksaber. And so I think you're right when it comes to that. The other part of the discussion that we've had, and I think there's where we start to agree more, is that Grogu's getting the Darksaber. That's an interesting thought.
I quite like that theory. I would love if there was like, a misdirect in the title of the show and the Mandalorian is plural or the Mandalorian refers to Grogu.
Well, we know he is a foundling. Well, the armor at least said, "Look, he's your foundling," right?
Yeah, they're a clan of two.
You're,
Clan
yeah,
Mudhorn.
yeah.
Yellow Darksaber. Only if he pisses on it.
Jedi Mike, thank you for trolling Meg during the live stream. That's fun. That's. I want to get.
I like
to the
Jedi Mike.
Satine.
He always comes up with the best comments.
Sabine. I want to get to Sabine because I do think that we could see Sabine brought in. Now, somebody brought up the other day that we've got a bit of a timeline issue if that's the case, because Ahsoka presumably is picking up where Rebels left off. And when we see that, would the ruler of Mandalore leave with Ahsoka on a pursuit for Ezra and Thrawn, or would they stay at Mandalore? So if Sabine, I think Sabine has a claim to it, right? So
Absolutely.
Sabine could come back into the picture and be part of the discussion, but I think that's a valid point as well. Like, she's not going to be at the point of Ahsoka. Where does Ahsoka happen within the time frame? What's going on? How does it fit together? And could it work out through Filoni and Favreau to bring her in to take rule of Mandalore?
Yeah, and just as HOAMC president says, there's so many unknowns. And what I want to know is, how did Bo-Katan, after Rebels, lose the saber to Moff Gideon? We heard about this Night of 1,000 Tears. Are we ever going to find out what that was? Are we going to see that? Are we going to... There's a few things that need to be told in that time period.
Yeah, there's a lot to be told, which makes all of this super, super exciting. And I want to go back up. Yeah. So
But I don't think I'm objectively wrong in saying Din is the ruler, or the rightful ruler, should be the rightful ruler. I wouldn't write that off as an option.
I think he could make a claim, but I don't think he is.
But again, that's subjective.
Right. So we disagree, and that makes it more fun.
It is.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, we might get that part of Sabine's story in Ahsoka. That's absolutely
I read
true.
Kieran's comment. I know he's Irish and bless him, he's awesome. But I read his comment in like a Southern American voice, like
Yeah.
Southern North America, Southern United
Yeah.
States.
Right.
Just when he said Daddy Din, just seems like. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to, since we kind of brought up Ahsoka a few times, there is a story about an update on Ivanna Sakhno's Sakhno. Look how white
Sakhno,
and American I am.
think.
Jeez. But they talk about her playing a character who is tentatively named
Astrid.
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 I've been saying that all day. Astrid.
Astrid is I'm trying, Meg. Oh my goodness, you're making my
Got an
ribs
ass
hurt.
turd on your hands.
I'm getting sore from laughing. Oh my goodness. So no, the at least the working name is Astrid, but the interesting part here is she's at a crossroads, need to make a life-altering decision. Could she be on the hunt for Thrawn as well, or as Jason Ward highlighted the other day, a titular character herself, given the Imperial holdouts that Din Djarin has continued to deal with. So, might she be a Chiss? Might she be a Mandalorian? Could she be a Padawan / Jedi type? Could she be what?
It's interesting with this character description. It matches a lot of characters who've been cast, where it's like they've got this path to make, they've got this decision to make, where there's two different paths. It's the same for the Acolyte character, isn't it? It's like caught between two options that could be life-changing, and it's so vague. You could literally put this character description in any sort of big category of Star Wars character. It could be an Imperial Remnant. I think I suggested that earlier in my video. It could be a Force user. It could be anything.
And I've got the Mio energy right here, Dominic. I think that's who asked. Wait, I gotta go look. See, maybe it was Roland. I can't remember. Somebody just asked a second ago. Oh, Dominic. Yeah, Dominic. My Mio energy water is in my mega mug now. I've been sipping it out of this thermos, but I now have put it into my official mega mug merch, and I can sip on my Mio energy water.
And yet we never see Santa do it. It's probably an empty cup.
No. I just there. You can kind of see that if I turn
Oh,
it too
Santa,
much.
that's what toilets are for. I'm joking.
I know you. I know you are. Oh my goodness, Meg.
If it's yellow, let it mellow.
There's a lot of possibility for this character. One thing that I don't think she is Barriss Offee. Right? They mention Barriss in the article from the Illuminerdi, and it seems that they've been searching to cast, or maybe they already have Barriss, but I don't know how much I am really onto the Barriss bandwagon. Her story arc, at least at this point, right? So we see during the prequel era, her and Ahsoka have this kind of friendship going on, but then at the end of Clone Wars, they have gone separate paths, and then there was a lot of speculation that Barriss became one of the Inquisitors, but did she? I have to remind. Didn't she die?
What,
I
Barriss
think she's
Offee?
dead.
Luminara
Yeah.
and Dooley died in Rebels,
Yeah,
but
I remember.
not Barriss. Barriss had the fight with, Ahsoka and then Anakin, didn't she? At the
No
temple.
Clone Wars spoilers. Been called out. What do you think? Would Barriss be alive? Would she be?
Absolutely.
Where would
Dave Filoni stated he wants to carry on her story. Which, can I be honest with you, I'm kind of in two minds about it. Again, I'm kind of a prequels purist when it comes to my views on these characters. And I was fine with the way they handled Luminara and Julie. But I didn't like the fact that Barriss turned to the dark side and the whole putting the Jedi Temple bombing on Ahsoka. I did not like that at all.
Yeah,
I'd
there
rather
you go.
Barriss died during Order 66.
Well, and so this is what I had in my mind too, Sheev, is that she died. Oh, did I just mute you? I did. Okay, you're back. So,
I don't know how much you heard. I was
I,
talking
yeah,
a bunch of
I
smack
touched
about you.
I t- I touched the earpiece and it beeped. So I think I muted you. I want to go back to this. What, what Astrid joke? Anthony, you don't know much if you think that was out of bounds for Meg. I think you're.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I saw that
you're being funny.
comment.
No, I thought that it was there was the one thing that I really liked with Barris in that story arc is that she was right when she gave her testimony in front of the what do you call them whatever I keep wanting to say inquisitors, but they weren't. They were the jury, so to speak. When she gave her testimony, she was everything she said was correct. Her actions coming out of it were wrong, but her every word she said in there was absolutely correct.
You mean about
So
how like it was an attack on what the Jedi had become, and
yeah,
instead of you mean that? I completely
yeah,
agree, and it's the same issue I have with Mace Windu, and I think both of us are Last Jedi fans, and that connects to what Luke later realized about the Jedi Order.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's where I think Dooku is also, Dooku's story in the
100%.
prequels. As much as I'm a critic, he was correct as well. And
I
I
agree with
love
you.
what we get to see in him in the Clone Wars, right? We get to see more of his story and where he was. And I also find it interesting that he and Maul came to the same conclusion that they needed to get somebody to help overthrow Palpatine, and they as much as told the Jedi, "Hey, Palpatine's the guy," without saying Palpatine. And the Jedi just kind of overlooked it. So all of that's very interesting. Dooku to me is quite an interesting character. But in any event, uh, we may get live action
Bill
Barris
Burr also
Offee.
has a bit of that character in him on a completely different front, having been an ex-Imperial rather than an ex-Jedi or something. You know, that kind of speech he gives in The Believer to this day remains probably one of the best pieces of dialogue in The Mandalorian. And that evoked those images of, well, we see characters like Count Dooku and Barriss Offee in the Clone Wars as being traitors, but, you know, they ultimately do have a point
Yeah,
from a certain point of view.
from a certain point of view, and I want to address. There's a lot of speculation about the Grisk, and so we know that at the end of Rebels, Thrawn and Ezra were taken by the space whales, right?
Yeah,
They were hauled off, and
the
the question
Purgil.
is, where were they hauled? Yeah, the Purgil, however you say it. They were hauled off into who knows where. The speculation that I've had is that they were taken into uh, the unknown region, perhaps even into where the Chiss ascendancy is.
Exactly.
Or and so at that point, and where the novel goes, and you touched on this some time ago, but it is really emphasized towards the end of the last novel that Thrawn is about saving the Chiss people. He's about protecting the ascendancy. His motivation is 100% wrapped up in saving the ascendancy. And the question I have in Rebels, as well as wherever he would have been during, say, a Heir to the Empire retelling, is where is his motivation? If it is about the Chiss ascendancy, then it would be presumably about trying to protect the ascendancy from the Grisk, or as we may have seen in that video game, the Yuzong Vong, right?
Yeah. I think his allegiance was always to the Chiss ascendancy ultimately.
Well, and that's what we see at the end of the novel. And again, not to give away the whole thing, but at the end of the novel, it ends the same way where he's setting himself up to go meet Palpatine, to become close to Palpatine, to learn, to be able to leverage the Empire and the assets of the Empire against the Grisk. And there we could find his motivation. If his motivation is to have control of the Empire's resources to battle the Grisk, who we learn have a far more intimidating military force than the Ascendancy does. They couldn't defend themselves if they tried. If the Grisk were to come in full power, he needs more resources. So the Empire's resources become what he's after. And if that's the case, and we see that follow through, we understand how we could get to an era to the Empire adaptation. And if Thrawn and Ezra have been taken back to the Ascendancy, and they realize that the Grisk threat is real, then we could have the whole story just kind of unfold from there.
I like that. But again, it's something we all knew to an extent going into it, that is his allegiance, but they set it up like a plot twist, which I think we spoke about in the past.
Yeah.
But this idea that he never gave a fly about the Empire and just wanted to use, as you said, their resources, because ultimately he knows about the greater unknown regions threat of the Grisk.
Right. That's exactly it. And so, and that's the discussion I want to have about the novel with very soon. And it'll be a full spoiler review. So if you've not read it, or if you're reading it and you finish it, I've already talked to Levi Bond. I'll get my good friend Gray and another guest, and we'll talk about the Thrawn novel and full spoilers, and we'll speculate about this kind of thing even further. But that's where I think the Ahsoka series could come in, is when they find him that Ezra and Thrawn have been working together. Not that Ezra is evil or bad or dark side, because Thrawn is not evil or bad or dark side. He's compassionate. He's somebody who wants to save lives, not take lives. And so, and we see that repeatedly in the novels, all the way through the end of this last one. So that's where I am on it. And I think that when they find him, and I've said this before, I think that we may get a confrontation between Thrawn and Ahsoka, similar to the one we have with Thrawn and Din when they first met. It may be adversarial at the beginning because they have a different understanding of who they are, and Ezra may have to step in to say, hey, wait, stop. I don't think you understand who this is. But then it comes up with a big question about how that fits into Aftermath, how that fits into the sequels, all of that. Tons of questions again. Ones that could have very good answers, by the way. I don't know. And then lastly, I do want to bring this up. Go ahead. You have something?
Oh, no.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't. This came up this week. It's a real fun card that came out from Lucasfilm. And you can see some of the, because it's Lucasfilm, you got Indiana Jones and you got Obi-Wan, because we've got Kenobi show, right? You got Mando season 3, you got Ahsoka coming up, you got Book of Boba Fett, and there's Ming-Na Wen, right there, and of course Willow, Cassian Andor, you get Grogu. But then look here. Here's our friend Omega right there, and I think you brought this up in Discord today. I absolutely believe that Omega or Omega, as friends like to say. Yes, yes, Mike. Ming simp alert. Who at this point I want to know who is not a Ming Na Wen simp. That's what is anybody? I mean, I assume you are, Meg.
Oh yeah, she's very, very hot.
She's fantastic, and she's in my age group, by the way. Just
Oh,
throw
lucky
that out there.
Santa.
Yeah, I mean, not that counts for anything, but but there you have Omega. And interesting when we bring up all these things. Where did these X-wings come into play? I think it may have been some sort of call to Rogue Squadron,
You think so?
perhaps. If you think about the projects that are in the works, right? got
You
the
don't
Bad
think
Batch.
Andor?
This is Andor.
Oh, just thought that was the guy in a coat. Oh yeah, there he is. Actually, I should have seen that. That's basically Diego Luna.
Oh, Meg.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
the
is.
same
But
problem I have with the Clone Wars.
yeah.
It's like, is that meant to be Count Dooku? I'm joking. But as anyone who knows Star Wars, the prequels are superior.
No, come on now.
But I don't include the Clone Wars, even though they're prequels. I disown them, apart from seasons
What?
5 and 7.
What? There's a
I
hot
just,
take.
just
You're
not
joking.
a fan. I'm just not a fan, honestly.
Wait,
I love
wait.
Rebels. Haven't we had this
What?
discussion before?
No.
It's too kiddie.
What? Meg, we're gonna have to have a
Yeah,
discussion.
I think that's a different stream.
I think it is too. Okay. Wait, I'm in shock right now. I gotta recover and then get ready for a discussion about the Clone Wars are what saved the prequels for me. But okay.
I think you're thinking of Attack of the Clones. Similar spelling. A
Absolutely
complete
not.
movie. No faffing around with random episodes
Wait.
that take place at different points
Wait,
without any
you're going to
continuation.
defend Attack of the Clones over the Clone Wars animated series?
100%.
Wait, Meg.
Because George cared about that film. He was just like, yeah, let Dave do the crappy cartoon.
But Meg. Okay. Okay. I got to let it go. We'll come back to that some other
But you
time.
see, this is what I think when you told me that The Rise of Dick was better than Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Sorry,
Well, fair.
Skywalker. Typo.
Typo. That's not what that's called. That's not how that works, Meg. That's not, to quote Han Solo. It's not how that works. Paraphrase. He says that's not how the Force works. But anyway, you get it.
I don't know why Attack of the Clones gets so much flack. It's like people. I know which video you're going to show me. You're going to show me that documentary that guy made about like how great the Clone Wars is. It's like, good. I'm glad you liked it, but like, I can't sit through it. I've watched all of them, but only once. The only things I've rewatched are the Clone Wars season 7 and 5. It's
Steve,
just
you're gonna
it's just
have to-
boring.
You're going to
It's
have to
just
come
really
over
boring.
to Europe next year when we go on vacation. And we'll have
And no
to
one
sit
wants to
Meg
admit this,
down.
by the way. There are tons of Star Wars fans who think this, but they don't say it because the majority. It's same with The Last Jedi. Same with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's so much I want to say now, but we've already gone 90 minutes.
Like Asajj Ventress, I only liked her character in that book where she's got a yellow lightsaber. What's that one called?
yeah.
That one was really interesting.
It was the yellow lightsaber
Is it
that
Darker
attracted
Print?
you.
Darker Print? I can't remember what it's called. I like that book,
Well,
but it's just like zoom zoom. All right, let's put Attack of the Clones back on.
Let's no, no, let's not. Let's not. Like, I sit through the holiday special easier than I do the Attack of the Clones. I
The
don't
Holiday
like it.
Special's a good film.
It's
It's
fun.
fun. You know what? That's my issue with the Clone Wars. It's kiddie, but not in the not serious way. Like if it was honest about being kiddie and like was just very, what's the word?
But they're dead
Silly, I would
people like
enjoy it.
floating in
It
space.
misses the silliness. Star Wars needs silliness.
I could agree with you there. I'll
That's
take.
why I like the prequels. Well, no, that's not true. It's one of the million reasons I love the prequels is they don't take themselves too seriously. And you can enjoy the story without being so intense about everything.
That's my general take on Star Wars as a
And the
whole.
Clone Wars
Is
explains too much. You see
Star
Captain
Wars
Tarpals
is
die. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, Star Wars to me is best when it isn't taking itself too seriously. You know, it is a really good. I love Star Wars for being the space fantasy that it is, and yeah. Meg's sleepy. It's Friday night. You know, it's 9:30. It's time for people to go to bed. No, yeah. But by the way, I see you up like when it's 8 o'clock my time, and I'm like, Meg, it's 1 a.m. You should be in bed.
I have insomnia and I get panic attacks. So they kind of
Oh,
keep me up.
I see. I see. Well, I hope that you get some rest this weekend. We are just over a week and a half, about a week and a half away from the book of Boba Fett, and Wednesday mornings are never going to be the same again.
That is very true. Because we've got a show every week. And tomorrow
Yes.
I'm talking about the Bad Batch season 2 because there's an issue of Star Wars Insider which will give us our release date. I got
What?
pregnant. See? You see, Santa also got fucked but didn't get pregnant.
Meg, you can't say that word.
I'm sure it was Tamara Morrison as Django who got Daryl pregnant.
Maybe.
They'll do their job.
Oh my goodness. We need to get to the Mike Porter dad joke of the day and put an end to this silliness. Somebody's got to put me out of my misery. So here we go. Mike Porter dad joke. Did you hear why they never questioned the old and wise Jedi? Mike Porter dad joke. If you've not followed Mike Porter on Twitter, his Twitter link, account is in the description here. And the Mike Porter dad joke. Did you hear why they never questioned the old and wise Jedi? They would say, Yoda have to tell me twice.
That is disgraceful. Ah. That's like saying, what do you call a Jedi cup of... What do you call a Jedi caffeinated drink? A Barris coffee.
See, there you go.
That one was funny. I'm joking. I love you, Mike Porter.
Mike Porter's the best. Oh my goodness. Well, Meg, thank you so much again. And
Thank you, Santa.
as
I
always,
was trolling, by the way. I was trolling for
I
quite a
know
bit
you
of this about the Clone Wars.
you're so much fun. You're so much fun. And you guys only got to see the fun that we had on stream. You should hear when we're off stream. It's a lot of fun. We're genuinely good friends. So
Yeah, we're
you
very,
guys,
very reserved.
you guys, thank you so much for being here. All those generous super chats. You guys have been the best. You've given me such a wonderful year, and we've formed such a great community, tremendous friendships. I hope to see you all here next week. Probably not next Friday, Meg. It's Christmas Eve after all,
It's
and
Christmas Eve.
Santa is busy on Christmas Eve, but I hope to talk to you soon, and of course we will be doing Clone Wars, or not Clone Wars, Book of Boba Fett summaries together. So you guys Thank you so much. Look forward to that. And Meg, I can't wait to see your video tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the Clone Wars is amazing from seasons 1 to 7. Kathy, do not attack me. I'll shill for the Clone Wars. No, I'm kidding, but they are great. It's just fun to troll Santa.
It is fun, and that, you know, if you've watched enough of Meg and I, our discourse, you know that we troll each other just for the fun of it. Because
like Santa says he likes the sequels, but no one actually holds that position. Of course he's trolling. What else could it be?
I
agree with Matt. The Rebels is the superior show.
I just give up. I yield. You're the rightful ruler of Mandalore.
That's not how... actually, if I say that's not how it works, then your point is proven. Yes, I am the rightful ruler. I feel like Santa just owned me there.
I almost... This is great. Guys, we'll keep doing this all day if you don't stop us. So I'm going to make it end here. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm starting my virtual visits as Santa. And thank you all so much for being here. We've had a great time today with all of you, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Until then, all my friends, may the Force be with you always. And ho, 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 Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye.